lifestyle, which is the credit cards, which is personal loans, anything that deals with credit. People borrow a lot of money. You still shouldn't be having a lot of debt if you want to be investing and saving money for the long run. All right, so that's the debt cycle. The cash cycle is where you want to be. The type of debt that's okay. Credit card debt, car loans, not good debt. So you want to reduce your debts as much as possible so that you can increase how much you, and putting that money into assets. A car is not an asset unless it's a antique car from the 50s. You know, there's like a whole industry with appreciating asset. As soon as you drive off the lot, it loses like $5 in value, right? So it's not something you want to put a lot of your money into if you can avoid it. So you always want to be on the cash cycle, which is having more that we save. So ultimately, we need to learn to invest. Every adult, every adolescent, as far as I'm concerned, that have billions of dollars invested in the stock market, money in it. Like I think like 20 years ago, it was like up to 30%. In order to do that, step one, pay yourself first. Pay yourself first simply means you work every month, you get your income, you have your bills, you gotta deduct, right? After that, you need to be paying yourself something. You can't just be paying Verizon and AT&T and your landlord and the car payments, and nothing is actually going to you. What are you building from your money that you're working hard for? You have to pay yourself at some point, right? So pay yourself first means some of that money you're working for needs to be saved, needs to be invested. So a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, that money is going to be working for you. And even longer than that, 20, 30 years, you can live off of that money. Right, miss? Good system? Good. All right. So the way of doing that, we're going to show in a sec. You got to set up 3 accounts. That's the best way to do it. I'm going to show that in a minute. Now, step 2 in paying yourself, step 2 in the cash cycle, accelerate paying off your debt. As I mentioned earlier, it's better to not have a lot of debt so that you can be able to save and invest a lot more money. There's strategies that I use. One of them is called debt stacking. There's also the snowball method. There's also the avalanche method. There's different strategies that I can help people reduce their debts so they can have a lot more money available to save and invest. Step 3 in being in a cash cycle, protect your income. It simply means ensure your income until you build financial independence. Because in step 1, learn to invest. Step 2, accelerate paying down debt. Now, once those 2 things are happening, you want to make sure that if anything happens to you, especially if you're the breadwinner in your family, if anything happens, your plan is still in place and your family won't be devastated if you were to pass away, if you were, something would have happened to you in a bad way. You want to ensure and protect your income. All right? Now, 3 fundamental accounts that everyone should have. The first one is the emergency account. And that's where you're going to have a minimum of 3 months of your income or your expenses. So you got to figure out what your expenses are. I rather use the expenses one because everyone's expenses is different, right? As well as everyone's income is different. But for example, if someone's expenses is $3,000 a month, you should have a minimum of $9,000, which is 3 months of that, somewhere, preferably not in your house, that you can easily access it if there's an emergency in your life, right? If your car breaks down, you need a starter. If you're out of work for 2 or 3 months, stuff happens. You're in medical emergency. You want to have money available so you can always take care of emergencies. Because stuff is going to happen. There's no way around that. Would you agree, miss?
Yes.
It's going to happen, right? So you want to be prepared for when that stuff happens. So before any investing is done, I advise my clients, you got to have an emergency fund. That's the first goal that needs to be accomplished. Because what normally happens is, if someone only has money invested in long-term investments, like a 401k, like a Roth IRA or TSP, what happens is when an emergency arises, they take it from their wealth building account, which is not what you want to do. Wealth building is for long term, is for financial freedom, is for retirement. You don't want to use that when you have an emergency, right? So this is the best way to set things up. Short-term account, that can be for goals, 3 to 5 years. Perfect example, you want to buy a home, right? You want to get the down payment for a house. You set the plan, okay, you know, I'm married, I have kids, I want to buy a home in 4 years, 5 years. You got to have a plan to get to that. Set up a short-term account, which is going to invest towards that goal that you're working towards, right? There's different investments that's going to be put in there, but it can be used for different reasons. It doesn't have to be for down payment, loss of a job. A lot of people got laid off 2 or 3 months ago from the government, right? If they had savings, at least 4, 5, 6 months of their income, they could sustain themselves until they find another job, right? So you want to always have these things in place. Now the wealth building account, that's for long-term financial freedom. That's for retirement. That's for when you've worked your 30 years, your 40 years, whatever it is, and you want to stop working, you need to have money to live for the rest of your life. You don't want to be 70 years old and looking for a job because you have no money. That's not a good look. So that's why now you got to save, you got to invest in wealth building accounts. Like I mentioned earlier, 401ks, 403bs, government employees have TSPs, whichever one it is. The point is for financial freedom, is for retirement. This is the way to set up your investments, set up your savings, and it's a good way to get started. Does that make sense? Is that?
Absolutely.
All right, good.
You said the debt stacking. What is debt stacking? Can you tell us?
I'm gonna get to it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a way, just a method of helping people pay down their debts. But I'm gonna get to it. All right, now on the pay yourself first journey, there's also a system for that. So I mentioned that you should have at least a lot of your money, 3 months of your expenses saved up. So in order to make that happen and also set up your emergency and short-term savings, the money that you have available after your expenses, you need to have a system to make sure that you're investing consistently every month, right? So this is what I recommend to my clients. When you first start investing and saving, you want to get your emergency account set up first, like I mentioned earlier. So 50%, so let me set it up. Let's say you have $300 available after you've paid all your bills, the rent, the car payment, the Verizon, the AT&T, whatever it is, the internet. Once you pay all of that, let's say you have $300 left. Now you got to do something with that 300 because you have goals you're working towards financially, right? So we're gonna take a 300, we're gonna put 150 every month towards the emergency account because we need to build that up to get to the 9 grand, 3,000 is your expenses, 3 months of that, 9 grand. 25%, so $75 will go to the short-term account, and then 75 will go to the wealth building account. That's what we're gonna do with the 300 that we have available after you pay all your bills. Now, this is not gonna be the setup forever. An emergency account is for time. It's not something you're gonna be doing for 20 years, right? So like it says here, once your emergency and short-term goals are satisfied, add those investments to the wealth building account. So what that means is, once we get to this goal of $9,000 for the emergency account, we're not gonna be contributing to this anymore. So that's 150 we can take and add it to these two accounts because this goal is accomplished. Once you get to that 9 grand, that money is invested, so it's gonna keep growing, but you don't have to keep putting money towards it every month. We got other things to deal with now, right? So once that is done, then you fund this short-term account. That's the down payment for the house. That's for the Tesla you wanna buy in 3 or 4 or 5 years. Once that is accomplished, then everything should be going towards the wealth building account because that's for long-term financial freedom, that's for retirement. The longer you do that, the more money you're gonna have at the end. All right? Now, what do you invest in? There's a lot of different things you can invest in. There's stocks, there's bonds, there's mutual funds, there's ETFs, there's crypto, there's a lot of stuff. This is America. There's a whole lot available to us. What I recommend and what most financial advisors will recommend to get started is a mutual fund. The reason for that is a mutual fund is called a pooled investment. So it's a lot of people put money together in this investment, and a professional money manager is going to manage that money for us in the pooled investment. The benefit of that is every mutual fund has multiple companies. Like it says on the bottom here, did you know the typical mutual fund holds more than 150 stocks on average? Some have more, some have less. So that's 150 companies that is in a mutual fund. So you can invest $100 a month and you will have a slice of 150 companies because you're part of that investment, right? Benefit of that is if one company doesn't perform well, if one company goes out of business, if CEO does a bad job in managing that company, the mutual fund could get rid of that company from the stocks that's in there, and it's not going to affect your investment as much. Stuff does happen. Businesses go out of business. I'm sure everyone knows Blockbuster. At some point, that was like a big video company, right? BlackBerry was the biggest thing ever before Apple cannibalized them. So stuff happens. Businesses go under. But if you had all your money in BlackBerry only, and BlackBerry went under, what happened to your money? It's gone. So that's not the best way to invest for the long term. You want to spread your investment out as much as possible, or diversify. That's the better term. Diversification means spreading your investment over a lot of different companies. So if one goes out of business or one has a bad year or whatever, your investment is not going to suffer as much. All right? So that's the way that most financial advisors will recommend folks to invest when they get started, is in a mutual fund. Do you guys know what a mutual fund is, like before seeing this? Okay, perfect. So I don't need to get too much into it. But in mutual funds, again, I mentioned there's different companies. So Procter & Gamble could be a company that's in a mutual fund. They make a lot of stuff. I show a lot of stuff that's in here. They probably make some of it, right? Downy, Gillette, Tide, Febreze, Procter & Gamble is a multi-billion dollar company, and we can own shares of Procter & Gamble if it's in the mutual fund that we invest in. Similarly, Disney, everyone knows Disney theme parks, all the movies that are out, the Marvel movies are pretty much owned by Disney at this point. So you can buy stocks in Disney. Disney is a multi-billion dollar company, so those companies could be in a mutual fund that you invest in. And as the value of those companies increase, the value of your money increases as well. Yes, sir?
So when you buy a mutual fund, who's the person where you don't buy the mutual fund?
So financial advisors are the ones that will be able to help you purchase mutual funds. I am a financial advisor. On your job, if you have a 401k, they invest in mutual funds as well. So if you have a job retirement plan, 99% of the times they invest in mutual funds. So whether you know it or not, you're in it.
I mean, do they work with like big insurance companies or private companies that they work with or what?
Insurance companies?
Yeah. These financial advisors, where are they located? Are they banks, insurance companies, where?
No, it's not insurance companies like Fidelity. Do you know Fidelity, Vanguard? Are those names familiar to you? Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley. These are all brokerage companies that you can contact to open a mutual fund. Or you can speak to me. That's what I do. I have the same license that those big companies have, and I'm able to do this stuff as well for my clients. All right? All right. Now, the concept of investing means different things to different people. Now, everyone is at a different point in their life, And that means what their financial plan is going to be different. Someone that's 25 years old is going to have a different plan than someone that's 55 years old. Totally different time frames, totally different goals, totally different things they want to accomplish. So meeting with a financial advisor allows that person to figure out where you are currently and then put a plan together based on your personal situation. It can be something that's cookie cutter and everyone, gets the same thing. It can't work like that because everyone's situation is different. So in investments, in mutual funds, they all have like different strategies. Some funds are going to be for growth. Growth pretty much means you invest in this fund because you want your money to grow as fast as possible because you want to get rich quick. Pretty much that's what it is, right? It grows much faster because maybe you have a longer time frame. Like someone that's 25 years old, as I mentioned, they will invest, or I would recommend they invest in growth funds because the money will grow and it will accumulate much faster. Now, someone that's at like, let's say 50 years old or 55, at that point, that person may want more income coming into them because they want to supplement what they make on their job, or maybe they're close to retirement and they want to get money coming into them. There's investments that's what they do. They pay you income. So you can have your money, let's say you got 200 or 300 grand, you can invest it in a fund and that fund pays you money every month. And your money is still growing. The money grows, but because the way that fund is set up, it pays you money every month. So that can supplement your pension, it can supplement your Social Security, you can supplement your 401k if you have enough money invested. It's just another source of income. If it's big enough, then it can be a majority of your income, which is what you want, because if you have a lot of money invested, it's going to be able to pay you a lot of money. Now, a balanced fund is just a combination of the two, growth and income at the same time. So because it's both of them combined, it's not going to grow as much, and it's not going to pay as much income because it's a combination of the two. But again, all this can be decided when someone meets with a financial advisor because everyone's situation is different. Everyone has a different time frame. So it just depends on what someone's situation is. All right? Now, when it comes to investing, you want to have a plan. And the best way to do it is something called dollar cost averaging. So what that means is whatever's happening in the world, in the government, in the economy, you always want to be investing regardless of what's happening. Because one way or the other, stocks and investments have been around for over a century and the trajectory is always up. Since 1900, investments always go up for the most part. Now there's cycles when it's going to drop, it goes up again, it's going to drop, that's what it does, but over the long term, investments, and especially in stocks and bonds, you're going to have more money than what you started with. So dollar cost averaging works this way. I'm gonna use you as my test subject. What's your name, Miss?
Deborah.
Miss Deborah. All right. Let's say you got $100, Miss Deborah, right? And you want to invest every month. Which type of investor would you want to be? Would you want to invest your $100 when the market is rising here, investor A, or would you want to invest when it's fluctuating like this, like investor B? Which one would you rather?
Obviously, I want my money to grow, so I'll go with the top one.
You go with the top one, right? All right, so Ms. Deborah she wants to be investor A, so she's going to invest when the market is rising. So let's see what that looks like. So Ms. Deborah, first month, your $100, right? Price per share is $10 a share you're going to invest. So your number of shares you're going to get is 10, first month. Second month, because it's a rising market, right? The price went up to $12 a share. So instead of you being able to get 10, you can only get 8.3 shares for your same $100. Month 3, price went up again because we were investing in a rising market. So now the price is $14. So now we can only get 7.1 shares for that $100, right? Month 4, The price went up again because we were invested in a rising market. $16 a share, we can only get 6.2 shares. And we continue all the way to month 6. So at the end, Ms. Deborah has 42 shares accumulated from her investing for 6 months, right? Now on the other hand, if Ms. Deborah was like investor B, and she invested when the stock market was fluctuating, which means it goes up, it goes down, fluctuates, this is what would have happened, Ms. Deborah. So your $100, first month, $10 per share, you're able to get 10 shares. Second month, the price dropped to $7. So now you can get even more for your $10. Now it's 14.3 shares you can buy. Month 3, the price dropped again. Now it's $4 a share. Now you can get 25 shares for that $100, right? Month 4, it dropped even more to $2 a share. Now you can buy 50 shares for your $100, right? Month 5 started going back up because it's fluctuating. Fluctuation, it goes up, it goes down, it's going to change. As opposed to going all the way up, or it's going all the way down. It's going to go up and down. So month 5, $6 a share, you're able to get 16 shares. Month 6, went back up from the 10. So you started at 10, went down to 2, went back up to 10. Now you can get 10 shares. At the end of 6 months, you accumulated 126 shares.
This is my buying power.
Yes, ma'am. So because the price dropped, you were able to buy more. As opposed to the price keeps going up, it's costing you more money, you can buy less. Right? It's just like if Macy's have a sale. Macy's have a sale. Everything on Monday was $50. Now it's Friday and it's $25. Everyone is going to want to buy for the 25, right? It's cheaper. It's the same thing with stocks. Same thing with investments. It's cheaper, so you should want to buy more. Because chances are, it's not going to crash. It's not going to go out of business, whatever you're investing in. So eventually it's going to come back up, right? That's the way that works. Because if you invest in Verizon, Ms. Deborah, right? Verizon has been around for a long time. The chances are they're not going to go out of business, right? So if you buy the stock at $50 in January and in June, the price went to 25, are you going to say, oh my God, I'm going to get out of this, Verizon is terrible? Or you're going to be like, listen, this company been around for a long time, stocks goes up and down, I'm just going to put my $100 every month. When it comes back up, I'm going to own more shares. That's the way you should invest.
But this is the reason why we all panic, because, oh, we're losing money, we're not thinking about the buying power when it's
Right.
down. We have to buy more when it's low.
Yes, yep, you need to buy more when it's low. Because when you see, like I use the example of Macy's, right? Perfect example. If the price of clothing at Macy's went from 50 to 25, are you going to think Macy's is going out of business, so I'm not going to buy this $25 shirt? No. You're going to buy 20 shirts. It's cheaper. So why is it any different for a company, for a business that you're investing in, and you know that this business is a good business, right? So whether the price goes up or down, you need to keep investing your $100. That's what the way dollar cost averaging works. All right? All right, so step 2 in our cash cycle system is debt stacking. Sarah, you asked about debt stacking, so we're going to speak about that now. Now, debt is, as much as you can, try to reduce your debts, because again, if you're paying debt, you're paying credit cards, you're paying car payments, you're paying interest in that payment. That interest that you're paying, if you're not paying it, you could use it to invest and save. So that's why it's better to have less debt as much as you can, because that money needs to be put towards building your wealth, investing, saving, so that you can ultimately become wealthy. Now, in this example, this is this person's monthly expenses. The mortgage, credit card 1, car loan, credit card 2, retail card 1. So they're paying $27.20 every month towards those debts. Right? Now, this person wants to buy a house in 5 or 6 years, so they need to reduce their debt. Actually, they own a house already. They want to grow their wealth, so they need to reduce their debts. So the $220 on this card that they pay every month, as much as you can, increase that payment if you can to get rid of this credit card here, right? The way that stacking works is you pay off the lowest balance debt first, and once you pay that off, then you move to the next one, and then you start paying on that next debt above it. So in this example, $220 a month, you pay this card off, right? Now instead of taking that $220 and spending it at Macy's or going to Nike and buying stuff, take that $220 and add it towards credit card 2. So now instead of paying only $353 on credit card 2, now you're paying $573 towards that credit card. So what's going to happen if you keep doing that, sir?
Everything's gonna end up losing. All your debts one by one are gonna get knocked off the board.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because you're increasing how much you pay. The reason why credit card balances don't reduce is because the interest is high, right? Like almost like 70% of minimum payments on credit cards is interest. So if you're paying $100, like $70 is going towards the interest and only $30 towards the principal. You're not gonna pay that off anytime soon. But if you increase how much you pay towards the debt, it's going to reduce the principal or the balance faster. So this is what this does. So now you're here at $573. You're going to pay off card 2. Now we have the car loan. Now the $573 you used to pay off card 2, you add it to this car loan payment of $551. Now you're paying $1124. So what that's going to do is going to reduce your car loan even faster because you're paying more towards it as opposed to just paying the interest and the way that the car company has it set up. So if you continue doing that, you can pay off your debts in 9 years, which will be 14 years sooner than if you didn't do the system in this example. So that's a lot of money that people could save by reducing their debts as fast as they can. Go ahead.
Is that the mortgage included or?
Yeah, so the mortgage, if you continue paying, because the mortgage is $1,293, right? So if you pay off all these debts, now you can put everything that you were paying here towards the mortgage,
Okay.
and it's going to pay it off even faster,
Okay, gotcha.
right? So now, again, you can pay this off much sooner. Look at these numbers here. Interest saved with this system is $130,000. Interest paid without the system is $214,000, right? And it's the same monthly payment. Same monthly payment, just a different system and the way that you pay the bills, that's what makes the big difference. All right? Now, once you get all these debts paid off, this is what's gonna happen. It's because you have no debt anymore, you should invest that money. So by investing the same amount of your debt repayments, once they're gone, your result could be $2.4 million if you're investing that $27.30 every month into an investment, into a mutual fund, into an ETF, whichever it is. But the fact that you're investing it means you're going to get interest, you're going to get dividends, you're going to get stuff returned to you that you didn't have to work for. All right, so that's what you want to do with your money. All right, so protect your income. That's another part of any financial plan, any financial advisor you meet with is going to advise you to protect your income. Now in this example, when it comes to protecting income, there's pretty much two options. Either whole life insurance, universal life, or variable, or you have term insurance, and that's the way that people protect their income. What protect your income means is, if something happens to you, you have a family, husband, wife, and you have 2 kids, if you pass away, that income that you were making is no longer there. That's gone because you're dead. You can't work in the grave. It doesn't work that way, right? So you have to have a way to replace your income if you pass away, or when we pass away, because we're all going to get there at some point. So in this example, we're going to use whole life, universal life. This is pretty much the way they work. This couple was putting $235 a month towards insurance of $100,000 each, and they wanted to set this plan up for 30 years. So they're now 35, and they want to invest and have this plan set up for 30 years. So in a 30-year time frame, that investment that they're putting towards in this insurance policy will grow to $74,000. Because the way whole life and variable life works, you have insurance and they have something called cash value. So some of that money goes towards a savings account that it doesn't pay much, but it's something. It's like a savings account. But the coverage is only $100,000. Now with term insurance works slightly different. You get a higher coverage for less money with term insurance. So in this example, this couple would have been paying $82 a month in insurance every month, and their coverage is much higher at $250,000 each. Now because they're only paying 82, the difference between the 82 and the 235 is $153. So what that did is they have money to invest, right? And that money to invest, they put it in a mutual fund, they put it in an ETF, they meet with a financial advisor, and they're able to invest that 153, and over 30 years, if they were getting at least 9% return, that money can grow to approximately 283 grand. Compared to 74,000 in 30 years, right? So that's just the way protect your income works, and the way that insurance protects you and your family and the plan that you put together. So in case something happens, your plan is not gonna go kaput, all right? Now, continuing on to protect your income, this is just the way life works. In your early years, you may need a lot of coverage, which means you need a lot of income protection, because in your early years, you're 30, you're 35, you're 25, you're young, you have a young family, you're working, you have the car, you have the mortgage, you have a lot of debt, you have the kids you gotta take care of. So you're gonna need a lot of coverage, because if anything happens to you and your income is gone, your family is gonna be in a lot of problems. But in your later years, because all of those things are gonna change, the kids may be gone, you would have paid the mortgage down a lot, well, the kids are gone, you're gonna reduce your debts a lot. You may not need a lot of income protection because hopefully you were investing at the same time. So conversely, in your early years, you may not have a lot of money because you're working, you have the kids, you have the mortgage, you have a lot of responsibilities. So you're not gonna have a lot of money at that time because it's being used up. But in your later years, when you're 50 and 60 and 70, you better have money, because you need to live off of that money when you stop working. Again, it's not a good thing to be 70, 75 working at a job because you didn't invest or make better decisions while you were able to work. So that's the way life works. You gotta have a system. This stuff could be put in place by being in with someone that can set it up for you, and that's what financial advisors do. All right? So all this can be done by just having something called a financial needs analysis done, and it pretty much takes a snapshot of where you are, like it says on the bottom here. The FNA takes a snapshot of your current financial situation and can help you make better choices about your money and your future. And the FNA will provide you with your personalized financial independence number, and that's a very important number. That is the amount of money you personally need to be working towards attaining your financial freedom, right? And that number is tabulated by your financial advisor, by myself, anyone you choose to meet with, because you need to know what that number is. It's a goal you need to work towards, and if you don't know what that goal is, if you don't know what the target is, how are you gonna hit it? Right? Right, sir? Do you agree? How are you gonna hit it? So you need to know what you're working towards, and that starts with figuring out where you are today and what needs to be done today to get to that goal. All right? So I am gonna end here to get all this stuff done. So just kind of like an overview. Set up your emergency fund, have your short-term account, your well building set up, start eliminating your debt, and ensure your income. Make sure that if anything happens to you, your financial plan is gonna still be in place and your family is not gonna be devastated. All right, so that's my time. Thank you guys.
As promised, one-on-one session. We'll send out all contacts and everybody will have a one-on-one financial needs analysis with Pete. Pete is part of my team, and we have Garth Williams over there as well, another financial advisor. So I have a huge team, and we'll have one-on-one. right? So, who's going to come up next? Okay, so back to real estate. So now you know how to make your money work for you and not for the bank. Okay? The bank is giving you 0.5% of your money, and what Pete is saying to you guys, invest in the stock market where you're going to get average 9% and upwards all the way. Some people are making 40% return on their money. Ramona was talking to you about when you're in the house, how to manage the funds in the house. For those, anyone here, homeowners yet? One homeowner, one homeowner. Okay, so, all right, so I'm gonna bring up the appraiser. So here's one of the things, the appraiser's not here as yet. So I'm gonna bring up the home inspector. And one of the things that realtors, I know you're a realtor, and you look like a realtor. Are you a realtor? You're a realtor. How do I know? Yeah, so it's good. I want all of the realtors to come in and learn. I mean, especially the people that I work with. You probably have your own, but I recommend the guys that I work with. I pick them out. I've been doing this 20 years, and they're the best in the game. You probably have your best. These are my best. My attorney, Charles Mester, licensed in New York and New Jersey. He's not a transactional attorney. He's a litigation attorney. So when you have any drama, we call him the captain. Okay. He's the general. He got demoted. Yeah, and Al Brown has been doing, so Al Brown is 30 years in the game. He started off as a real estate REO broker. And then he went into mortgages, right? So me, I'm licensed in New York and New Jersey, and as realtors, we now do transaction. We can do transaction nationwide now. So I promote the concept of buy a zip code, because this is America. America is all zip codes, and every zip code has a different value. So where your dollar is right now, and you're in zip code, this is 11216, where the average property is 1.5 million, but you can go and buy in 07203, which is Roselle in New Jersey, where my house is at. When I bought it 7 years ago for 165, and it's now worth $500,000, right? And Cato, when Cato bought his house, Cato, how long ago did you buy your house?
2019.
2019, and you paid 6 something. Your house is worth $1 million. So he has made $400,000 while sleeping and pooping in his house. That's real estate. All right. So the first thing after you have met with me and I have taken you out shopping and you've met a house that you want to invest your money in, then you need to see what's the shape of the house. Then you need a home inspector. So I'm going to bring up the home inspector and let him take over. Hamlet.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Time to wake up. Process, we have our loan officers, we have everybody, real estate agents, everybody involved in the process of buying a home. Not to forget how important it is to get your home inspected. Where do I sit in there? We're going to go through that, where I sit. We're not going to see, I have a lot of horror pictures. We're not going to show you the horror pictures. Just going to get over the meat and potatoes of what a home inspection is. Okay, one of the things is once you're at the point that you've got an accepted offer, my job kicks in. All right, when you're out there and you're looking for a home, we say be stoic. You never know what I'm gonna find. I'm your negotiating piece. Okay, if I find something wrong in the home that you're trying to buy, before you go into contract, I'll give you the ability to negotiate. Hey, the roof's bad. There's squirrels in the attic. I got stuff that you need to be taken care of that can drop the price down. I'm here to try and make, first of all, let you be happy with what you're buying and explain to you what you're doing. If you're a new homeowner, there's a lot of things that are involved in owning a home that new homeowners are not aware of. What are you responsible for? And things of that nature, all right? So remember, keep your poker face on. Why? Because we got to negotiate. Nothing's set in stone until that contract is written. You're going to see me before you see your lawyer. Well, you'll see your lawyer, but before you go into contract. All right? So again, immediately after you accept an offer, and prior to signing your contract, get your inspection done. A lot of times they'll tell you waive the inspection so we can get this moving quicker. You should be worried when they tell you to waive your inspection. They're hiding something, and God knows if you get in there and you didn't have your inspection, the price of an inspection, which you'll pay, to the price of not having an inspection, which you'll pay when you find something, is terrible. The difference is thousands to a couple of $100s for getting an inspection done. All right? What is an inspection? It's a visual, non-invasive. I'm not breaking anything. I'm not poking any holes in your walls. Okay, it's a visual inspection of the exterior and interior of your home, from the roof down to the basement. I'm gonna turn stuff on, turn the water on, I'm hitting everything. I want the house to break while I'm there. This way it doesn't break when you're there. If it breaks while I'm there, then I'm gonna explain that's happening. If it's leaking, the boiler shuts down. Whatever happens, I'm gonna be everywhere, I'm there. Again, I'm an advocate for you as a buyer to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. As Philip said, this is the largest investment you're gonna make in your life, other than buying a boat. But, you know, you want it to be right. You don't want to jump into this, and next you know, you're coming out of pocket and you're gonna back out of a deal like that. All right, so water wear and tear damage. Water is the biggest thing. Time and water are the biggest thing that are going to affect your home, and bugs. Bugs need water, so water's bad too, right? Why? I just explained why, right? During the inspection, we're taking a partial look at the property you plan to buy. We can evaluate the condition, the physical condition. I'm gonna run all the stuff in the house. Again, I'm gonna try my best to make the house break while I'm there on the things that you use every day: the water, the gas, your HVAC, the windows, the roof. I wanna make sure all the components that are protecting you from the outside, because that's pretty much what a house is doing. Roof over your head is literal. I wanna make sure they're all up to par and not gonna cost you in the long run. If the roof is bad, you gotta think of the cost of replacing your roof. If the boiler's too old, you gotta think of that. The water heater. There are many things that you're gonna have to think about as new homeowners that I'm there to say, okay, good or bad, look down the future. 2 years from now, this may break. This is about to fall down. I'm there to make that easy for you, okay? Electrical, the plumbing, heating, everything involved in the house. We're checking the outlets, we're turning stuff on, all right? That's what I'm there to break it. We're not appraisers. Gentlemen would have been appraiser here. Appraisal is the market value. The bank sends out an appraiser to judge the value of the property you're buying at that time for the market for everything. Say it's a 2-bedroom, 3-bath. Every other 2-bedroom, 3-bath, they want to know the market value of your home according to the market. That's an appraiser. That's for the bank. They want to make sure you're not paying more for the home than they're giving you a loan for, right? The loan, the home is only worth $300, you're paying $400, they're gonna go, maybe you're paying too much for this home. That's buyer's remorse, and you don't wanna do that. The bank wants to make sure, by appraisal, that it's right in the market and you're not paying too much for a home, because they're paying for it right away, right? They got the loan, they're giving you the loan. It protects the lender. Questions you should ask your inspector. What does it cover? Soup to nuts. Okay, I also do mold inspections, radon inspections. I do termite and termite inspections. So some of them are add-ons as far as fees. Some of them are included. When I'm doing a house, I always put the termite inspection in there, because if I find something, I want to let you know. A lot of home sellers hide termites because that's a big issue, and I'm going to ask you to get somebody in there to check it out. all right? Am I licensed? Licensed and insured in New York State. I'm also a member of INTERNACHI, which is a National Association of Certified Home Inspectors, which continually educates me. I keep educating myself because everything's changing. The components of the house are changing. Things are going on. I want to keep up to date so that you get the best product from me as possible. Do I offer repairs? No. While I can do repairs because my wife has me being the contractor for my own home, I can't do it outside because you got to talk to my union rep and she doesn't hire me out. I do a certified termite inspection report. So my termite inspection reports it's a legal document. Okay, so these documents that you're getting from an inspector, why we're charging, it's a legal document. You can take this to court. Okay, the termite inspection, it's an NPM 33, NPMA 33, I remember that again, God bless me. This is something you can take to court. My home inspector says this, I need to get this checked out. Again, negotiating fee, right? I saw termites, you may knock 30,000 off so I can get this done. All depends on what's happening, what I find. How long would it take? It takes about an hour to 3 hours depending on the size of the home. Roof, again, what it takes me to get around. Sometimes I'll find things, it'll take longer, because if I see evidence of water damage, I want to find out where that's coming from. I want to know, because I want you to know. Okay, so if it's in an attic, I'm going up in there. If it's a crawl space that's 135 degrees in the attic, I've been in those, and let you know, it's really hot up here. Somebody's going to die, like me. I'm sweating, but I want to find this out. Again, I'm on your side. I want to go into places that you're not going to go in. Most home buyers, they walk in, they see the kitchen. It's a nice kitchen. I want this house. I'm there for all the, you know that, right? Beautiful kitchen, I love this. Nobody goes in the bathroom, nobody turning on the water, they're not checking the heat. You know, they're not going in the attic where there's a hole, there's a squirrel living. None of that, they're not doing it. The basement's wet, it could care less. As long as the kitchen's nice and I can cook my food, I'm fine. And I've come across that. We've lost it. Where'd you go? Oh, sorry. Come on back, come on. Back. Okay, there we go. Okay, how much will it cost? It all depends on the size of the thing. We'll hopefully this gets back on. See just settings. We're back. Check me out.
All right.
I'm proud of myself, guys. I just want you to know that was very good on my part, all right? How much does it cost? All depends on the side of the unit. Can I attend inspection? I really would like, and I always tell prospective buyers, if you can be there, be there. You're gonna ask me questions that if I give the report and you go, what does this mean? I'd rather you be there so I can point things out. Some things are cosmetic. There's a crack in the wall. Scrape prime paint, you'll be fine. There's a hole in the ceiling. It's gonna take a little more. Why is there a hole there? So when you're there, I can explain this. You're gonna ask questions. Now that I'm there, aside from the first time you saw it, you loved the kitchen, you're like, wow. Now it's like, okay, what did you find? Come here, let me show you this. This is how you take care of the heater. This is where your filters are. Make sure this is clean. There's a lot of dust over here. I'd rather you be there than you call me later and go, I don't understand. So be there. If inspector asks you not to be there, question that. Not that inspectors are bad, but if they tell you, I'd rather you not be there, don't do that. I'd rather you be there. Let's talk. It's your house, it's not my house, right? So I want you to really be up on what you need to do. Again, so you're aware of what it is as a new homeowner you're responsible for as far as the maintenance of the home and repairs. What type? I do a digital inspection. Usually within 24 hours, you're gonna get your report. I've heard nightmares of the guy said, so would it have been a week before I get my report? I looked at him very strangely, like, have you a week? Wow. So 24 hours. If it's a big house, maybe a little more than 24. Usually within 24 hours. I gotta get it out because it'll fry my brain and I gotta get it out. Most of the inspection I do while I'm there, because my reports are digital like that, lots of pictures, summaries for your agent to send to the listing agent so that they don't have to look through the whole report as to what they need fixed. It comes with a realtor repair list. This is all in red. I want this fixed. Your lawyer's gonna get that and go, okay, let's put this in the language of the contract so that we can move forward. This way, if there's any concessions need to be made, they have that quickly available to them, which they like, all right? Because things must move quickly. While I may not speak Spanish, I can produce Spanish reports, complete, the whole thing. So you'll get an English and a Spanish report if you need it. My mother would not be proud of me for that. We're not gonna get into that. All right, what am I looking for? Everything. We talked about it, right? Electrical, plumbing, the structure, the roofing system, HVAC, the grounds. If you're only buying a condo or a co-op and you don't have to worry about the grounds. If you're buying a house, the grounds are important, right? Water's trying to get into your house. We're trying to prevent that. I'm going to show you how to prevent that and let you know whether it's being prevented at the time of your purchase. Because if it's not, there's some issues you're going to have. Crumbly basement walls that are efflorescence and the concrete is deteriorating to a point. It's going to cost you. I'll let you know, this is bad. Maybe they can get more dirt put on to get you sloping away from. Basement, crawl space, attic, cabinets, appliances, and interiors, all interior and exterior services. When we say the appliances, we're trying to turn on the dishwasher while I'm there. I'm gonna turn on the stove, check the refrigerator, make sure it's working. If there's a garbage disposal, we try and run it. If there's a sump pump in the basement, I try and turn it on, make sure the water's going out the house. Again, if it fails while I'm there, then you're buying something that's failed. A lot of times, the appliances are not as important because usually, if I see an inspection on this year, 2 years later, I come back, none of the stuff is going to be the same. You're going to buy your own stove, you're going to get a new fridge. All these things they're going to go. But the one you would like to move into something that's okay. So we check them. At least I try to. Sometimes the gas is off if it's been out for a moment. Okay, we're not going to go through the nightmare. So electrical, we're going to check the incoming service, the grounding, the panel board and disconnect. I'm going to open up the panel board, check out the wires. Sometimes it's very old, knob and tube. Sometimes it's aluminum. All depends on the year of construction. It's good or bad. I'm there to tell you that. Again, you're not looking at the electrical panel. All you know is electrical went down, I hit my my circuit breaker, I'm good. Sometimes I'm walking in their fuses. Sometimes there are certain panel boxes that are outdated by 25 plus years. Federal Pacific and Zinsco, these are known to fail. And I do a lot of units that they're there and I have to explain to them, you really need to get this changed. Whether or not now, it hasn't failed now, but it will fail. So that's cost, right? But you want to know that. At least you go in knowing what's happening. Proper wire size, circuit breakers, fuses, junction box, nightmares. Okay, so we're going to go through this very quickly because I only have 15 minutes, so I'm not going to rush, but I'm going to go fast. All right? That's just, nobody even knows what that is, right?
That's an old.
How old? Very old. Herman Munster, right? Way back. So, outdated, okay? This is a homeowner decided to run wire outside his house to an outlet through a hole, which is a vent hole. But it's a homeowner. He's not trying to dig a hole through his home, okay? These are all nightmare pictures. Outdated, double tap, too many wires on a screw. Moisture in the basement. The wires will eventually be rotted through because of all this rust. Another homeowner, main power, instead of going to the circuit breakers, he just tapped them in with some wire nuts. How cool is that, huh? Imagine getting in your house and you see that happening. This is supposed to be connected to the home. This is an overhead service. This is the tension wire that is supposed to be connected to. Right now it's being hanging on by the wires. A good wind and your power is going to shut down in your home. Plumbing. We want to make sure that there's copper. Your water service coming in, if it's a very old home and it be lead, I'll let you know it's lead. You should get your water tested. The drainage, the branch systems, the shut-off valves are there. Plumbing fixtures, again, faucets, I'm gonna turn everything on, make sure the pipe, there's no S-pipes, there's no corrugated pipes. I call that a lazy plumber. When you see the plastic that's corrugated, that just means that he refused to cut it to where it's supposed to be. It's gonna clog, not if, it's when. You see those plastic ones, the flex pipe they call them, right? Hot water heater, make sure it's not outdated. Hot water heater, 7 to 10 years, that's a good one. You get in the house and I check the age and it tells me it's 15 years old, you're gonna need a new water heater. It's going to leak. They're not made to last forever, they're just not. It's not like back in the days when you get a Maytag and it'll last you 35 years. Okay, plumbing issues, sewer traps open, you got a lead water main, these are all the things that we find out. Whole lot of rust. This is your sewage pipe. It is rusted. So what is eventually going to happen? This is going to break, right? It's going to crack open. That's going to cost you money. A lot of money to get to. And the good thing is open. I'm in a crawl space. It's open. You can get there. But that's your poop pipe. And that sucker's going to go when you least expect it. It needs to be replaced. These last 70 years, okay, in good conditions. This is not a good condition. You see all the moisture. Moving on. Same thing, rusting through. Rust does not get better, rust gets worse. This is where you're not gonna look. Again, you looked at the kitchen. Kitchen's nice. Water's running, gas came on, everything's nice. No, not nice. I'm gonna show you. I'm there to look for the not nice places that you may not be aware of, but I'm gonna make you aware of them. All right? Bad tank, it's rusted, needs to be repainted. It's an oil tank, rust is gonna get through, you will get an oil leak. Environmental hazard. HVAC system, boiler, correct sizes, a lot of things we're looking for, okay? Heating and air conditioning, this is a better picture. This is the best. This is an old giant furnace wrapped in asbestos. Asbestos is not bad unless it's disturbed. But if there's a lot of it and you have children, you want to get it remediated. That's expensive. Something to think about if I find asbestos, okay? Asbestos material. This is a lovely one, right? So we're in a crawl space. This is your HVAC. Something seem wrong here? So the contractor finished the job and left. Job done. Job done. I'm there doing an inspection. They're not doing any construction while I'm there. Why doesn't my heat and AC work? Because the man didn't finish the job. Would you crawl into here just buying a home? You would not. There's no reason for you to go there. That's why I get an inspector to go look for this crazy stuff for you. Okay? He goes, your exhaust pipes coming from your furnace. It's got holes. If that's exhaust fumes, which we know are toxic, they're coming into the home. It may not be like there's none there, but that's way too much, more than should be allowed in the house. It's also near a lot of wood. See the wood around it? This wood, as you can see it, will eventually start to deteriorate just for heat, right? There's a term, what it is wood has a temperature to which it will ignite. The longer it's under hot temperature, that temperature drops, where it's usually about 500. Over time, it can drop down to 90, just being near something hot. So the heat will deteriorate the wood to the point that just a simple spark will ignite it, where it might take a little longer. Okay, hazardous boiler venting, again, near wood. Somebody put this one outside of the house, done by the homeowner, right beneath the electrical impact coming in. Not a good look. It's also low enough for a child to come out and test it and burn themselves. Hazardous, more hazardous conditions. Place for things to come out, gases to enter your home. Okay, your roof surface area, chimney, gutters, downspouts. Your most important part of your home are your gutters. They keep the water coming from your roof diverted away from your home. Your home is not waterproof. It's not. Only thing waterproof is water and glass. Metal will eventually rust, rubber, glass, okay? So your house as a system works to divert the water away from your home. Remember that, okay? These are good roofs. This is what we talk about flashing. This is correct flashing, because if the water's coming down here, it's gonna go over here and head over. If I see it where this is covered by roof shingles, then the water's gonna get under there and start entering your home, okay? Dirty gutters, clogged gutters, water's gonna come up and into your house, unseen, far Rockaway. This is deterioration. This is an unkept home. A lot of water is going to come down here, enter unseen into the house. You can see the color changes, all right? This is a nice roof. You say it's nice, right? Little old, rubber, nothing lasts forever, okay? I was in a building. This is a nice chimney, huh? Looks good, huh? Look at this. You're not going on the roof. I'm up there to make sure this is right. But these are the nightmares that we find. Yes?
I have a question. How many layers of shingles you should have on the roof?
No more than 2. Your third layer is pushing it because it's the weight of that, and the warranty for the shingle, that top layer, is void because of the 2 layers before it. So they'll tell you it's 30 years, but you go and they say, well, you had 2 layers under that. If you have a roofer that puts that 3rd layer on, question his integrity, because he's just doing what you ask. When he should scrape it and start fresh. 2nd layer, there should be no 3rd layer. That's pushing your luck. It's a lot of weight. All right? You're very welcome. Foundation, floor systems, skeleton, wall ceilings, exterior siding, moisture penetration. That looks a little crazy, no? This is holding up the main beam in the house. The main beam has separated from the lolly column that was holding it up. So the homeowner decided to take a 4x4, stick this, I would call it a jack. You want to call it a jack, right? It's a jack. At some point, back in the days, right? And stick it up this. That's what's holding up most of this house. Okay? It's nightmares, right? These are things we find. Floor joists. Wonder why your floor's creaking. It's cracked. They don't get better. It gets better. Right? Mud tubes, termites. It looks like just sand. There's no sand growing on your wood. Termites build mud tubes to travel. You won't see them. They burrow through the wood. Unlike carpenter bees and carpenter ants, they burrow. Termites eat. So when they leave nothing. Your wood is done. More, right, too? Just another nice wet basement. All the moisture going on. All this is just bad scene. You got some termite action going on over here. Termites love moisture. They need it to be moist. Okay, we have a foundation where the mortar is disappearing. More termite damage. They eat it. This wood is done. See the holes? It's done. They tried to paint over it so I wouldn't see it. Hey, you tried that. Right? If I go in the basement and I see paint, what are you hiding? Right? So I'm going to poke it. It's going to fall apart. And they go, I didn't know that was there. Of course not, because you painted over it, because you knew what was happening. There goes the paint, right? Paint. See the holes? They leave. When they leave, it's done. This wood is done. Right? These are tunnels that they don't just tunnel through. They eat it, and they go on about their business, leaving you with this lovely painted hole. Right? But I poked this, and it just came loose. Lovely. Unbeknownst to the buyer, there was a fire, and it was undisclosed. So I got in the basement and saw there's fire damage here. So they put new wood up. Once again, the grading, deck, stairs, fences, retaining walls, street elevation. Again, making sure sidewalks, very important. I'm going to tell you this. If you're buying a home, you are responsible up to 12 inches into the street. If somebody trips on your sidewalk, you're responsible for the suing that they're going to do. Whereas the city will fix it, you're responsible if somebody gets hurt. The city's 40 feet from the middle of the road, 40 feet over into your property, they're responsible for. But if somebody sues, they don't sue the city, they sue you. Big thing, I had a woman who did not buy a home because the street was bad and she didn't want to get it fixed, the sidewalk. And I explained to her, if somebody trips, you're responsible. And she's like, I don't have money to fix that. Okay, so decisions you have to make, you know? You're gonna go in there and dig it up. Attics, moisture penetration, proper termination of venting systems. Reason we say that as another big thing, people will put a vent system in the bathroom. It'll just go up into the attic and all that nice hot moist air is emptying into the attic. Two things are happening. Mold takes 24 hours to grow, could come in a variety of colors. And pests, they love that hot moist air. It's like a sauna up there for them, all right? I do infrared pictures, thermal imaging. I can't see through the walls, I'm not Superman, and neither can my camera, but it can tell me hot, cold. So all the blue circles is water. This is water coming in. This is a drop ceiling. I got water. This is when my inspection takes a little longer. I want to know why. Where's that coming from? You need to know that, okay? Asbestos or an asbestos-containing material, to which I will say, you got to get rid of that. It's all starting to mold, right? Because mold can grow anywhere. All mold needs is a little organic material, and it's in 24 hours. And you got organic materials means when your skin flakes off and lands somewhere, mold will grow on it and start to eat it. It's a terrible animal, right? Different colors of mold. There's a buried 1,000-gallon oil tank in this home that nobody told them about. This is the copper wire that would feed the oil into the house, right? No longer in use. It's a hazard, right? Because it's going to eventually cave in your backyard or wherever it is. It's going to cave in over time, all right? Here's more termites. You gotta love them. Termite tubes. Again, you may think it's sand. There's no sand. Sand doesn't grow. Okay, termite tubes, they're eating the wood. See how they leave these gaps? They eat it, it's done. This is not even connected to the wall. Also, this is your floor joist, major thing, not connected to the wall. They put a new wall in, but they forgot to continue in the process. We have rusting pipes, we have mold in places unseen above your drop ceiling. Why would you look up there? Even if you bought the home and the inspector didn't get inspected, you're gonna wonder why you're getting sick. Why can't I breathe? This mold is growing, mold continues to grow. There's moisture in the basement. Gotta love that, huh? Hey, can't even tell you what that is. Boy Scout knot, right. And he wasn't even a good one because the knot's good. The knot's not good. So this person involved a copper water pipe over an electrical outlet. That's just waiting to explode. Okay, again, these are things that homeowners do. Here we go again with bad contractors. Even in new construction, this is new construction. This is not closed off right. New construction, where is that drain pipe going to? Shouldn't there be a place that this terminates, not just in the air? Okay, new construction.
Question?
Yes.
Should we all get an inspection on something that's built brand new?
Yes. New construction. You can't, I've done new construction, I go, wow. Sometimes electrical's off, sometimes they'll put the hot and cold on the wrong sides. Now that may not be a big thing, but kids know right hand is cold. If they go right hand and it's hot, you have a burned child. It's sometimes they just do it, they'll do the whole building this way. So a lot of their practices for new construction, you saw the other one with the HVAC up stop, right? Where it wasn't connected, that was new. It's a new house. Dude, finish your job. You can't expect contractors, like I said, contractors. Once he's done the job, he goes home, whatever's behind him, he doesn't see that. He's home, he got paid, he's good. Okay, so it's a lot of times they'll tell you it's new construction, don't worry about it. Do you have to worry about it? Not really, you should get an inspection. This is where you have it, yes.
So when we find these defects, or when you find these defects, would you advise them to repair it, or?
That's the lawyer part. So once you get your inspection, you go, okay, this is what he found. Your real estate agent gets a copy, he gets a realtor repair list in there. You guys go to the lawyer goes, okay, let's see what we can do. Whether they can fix it or renegotiate the price so we can get it repaired on our own. So that's, again, get your inspection done, right? Because if you can knock some money off either way, whether they repair it or you repair it yourself, it's just a negotiating piece. Yes.
With that, like, I'd rather repair it myself, one, I save money.
Right.
But I don't think that they do a chop and settle job in Spanish, that they shortcut.
You saw a lot of shortcuts.
Because, no, I saw a thing recently, it was like, you should tell if your basement was flooded by going under the stairwell down.
Right.
Because that's usually where people don't address painting over.
Basements are wet until proven dry. When you're dealing with a basement, I do mold tests. If I see mold, which you will see, if it's moist, the best thing for a basement, dehumidifier. Just run a dehumidifier. It's gonna keep the moisture down. I have a basement, when we moved into the house, I could smell. We run it for the summertime, the dehumidifier never turns off. Why? Because it's subground, cold, hot, you're gonna get that condensation down there. You wanna keep it dry, right? If it's
strategist. Our mission is to educate families how to create generational wealth by investing in residential and commercial real estate properties for rental of stores, apartments.
If you're going to waterproof the outside. Stop the water from getting in from the beginning. Don't let it get in that, have nowhere to go. So that's a big thing with basements. But if you're going to do your own repairs, that's fine. But you can still, hey, knock some money down, I need to get this fixed, this is bad. Who's gonna do it? Irrelevant, I just need you to knock some money down because it's gonna cost me to get it repaired. Even if you get somebody in to do an estimate of the repairs and you do it yourself, regardless, you have a negotiating piece. This is what's wrong. This is what my inspector found in here, and he's on my side. He didn't make a big issue, or he did make a big issue, but that gives you an ability to negotiate. We talked about that in the beginning. Keep your game face on, never know what I'm gonna find. Negotiating, and even in new places, there will be stuff. I'm happy when I don't find it. I'm happier when I do find it. Nice little wire job. We saw an open drain earlier in the pictures. That person had to open their sewer because their sewer was backing up into here. They did not fix the problem. They just tried to alleviate it by leaving the pipe open. So now you have that nasty smell. Yeah, that smell coming through the house. Why does it stink? Because the poop pipe's open. And you're doing that for this, all right? Bad jobs. A lot of the things we do, if it's an older home, it's usually because the seller was doing the work themselves. And a lot of times it's just, what do I have here? I can use this. They don't go up to code. They don't think about code. They just know it's fixed because I'm going to be here for the next 30 years. And then they go to sell and you're stuck with the stuff that they have done. Again, I'm dealing with it in my house now, but it is what it is, all right? So why do you need it? We identified the deficiencies and potential problems that may arise or be seen in the home that I'm inspecting for you. You want to have peace of mind, and again, a negotiating of the price because of what I found or not found. If it's all good, then it's all good. But if there's something in a place that you didn't know about, we're good to go, all right? Thank you very much. If you need me, with my card, my information's in your stuff. Give me a call if you have questions. I'll be happy to answer, and I'm looking forward to helping you all in your endeavors. Thank you.
Again, as promised, every one of the speakers' contact information is going to be here. And for the homeowners, you do need a home inspection before you do sell. Realtors, advise them so that they can point out stuff so that you're not going to be haggling on the price. That's why you do need to have one done before you sell. So then, because you don't want to be haggling. All right, so I said that the home inspection report is a negotiation tool which you need to hand over to which is going to come to the realtor and the attorney is going to negotiate all of the costs that are involved or needed. The attorney is coming up next. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for sitting through our presentation. This is our first live presentation that we've done. We've done everything else on Zoom, so it's really nice to see everybody in person. So, my name is Charles Mester. I'm an attorney. I went to law school in New York City, and I'm licensed in the state of New York and the state of New Jersey. So I practice law. That's been my profession since I graduated law school. And we're here basically to talk about, the home buying process. So I just wanted to sort of emphasize that when it's your time to bring in an attorney to handle the home buying process, make sure that the attorney that you do bring in has a real estate focus in their professional career, because when we graduate law school, we could practice, environmental law, family law, personal injury law. We could practice anything. We're not limited as attorneys once we have that license. But some of us will focus on a certain specialty, okay? And you want to make sure that you're not hiring, your divorce lawyer who might not have that expertise in all of the details that are required in a real estate transaction. So, because real estate lawyers, like myself, we all take continuing legal education classes throughout our careers, but I focus mine on the real estate area, just so I'm up to date. I'm a member of the Bar Association, the Real Property Law section, so I mingle with other real estate lawyers, so everyone is aware of the new of the new laws that are being passed in Albany when it comes to real estate issues. We're also aware of the litigation cases that are out there in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. Real estate is more of a state issue. All 50 states, obviously, you could buy homes in, and they all have their own laws when it comes to, and their own best practices when it comes to how to go about the process and what you have to do in order to purchase real estate. So New York's laws are a little bit different than New Jersey's laws, even though they're right across the river. So that's why it's important to have that real estate lawyer who understands what the differences are in the different states, because a lot of clients that I'll have are selling, let's say, something in New York and buying something in New Jersey because they're getting more for their money. So I'm dealing with different laws in the sale process and a different procedure than I am with the process to purchase in New Jersey. So it's important that you have that in your mind when you hire an attorney. So because most people, when they as far as hiring an attorney, it doesn't happen too often in their lifetime to hire a lawyer, right? Most people go about their lives without attorneys for the most part. It's only when certain life situations happen where it's recommended that you have a professional who's an attorney sort of guide you along the way. So that's really an important part in the home buying process and the home selling process as well. There is no law specifically that requires an individual to hire an attorney in either state, but it's highly recommended. And because in New York, the mortgage, when you're obtaining a mortgage, the mortgage company, they'll have their own lawyer present at the closing. The seller, will usually have an attorney because the seller will not know the process of selling a house, right? So it would be an imbalance for the buyer not to have their own attorney present that basically is working for them, okay? There's a lot of situations where I've come across where buyers have been told, don't worry, you don't need a lawyer, or the seller's lawyer will recommend somebody, etc. Make sure you do your own work to get your own lawyer that represents you, because if an attorney is coming from a referral from the other side, then that lawyer may not have your best interest in heart. Just remember that. So, so what does the real estate lawyer do, let's say, on behalf of we could talk about it on behalf of a seller, but most of you here are not homeowners yet. You're looking to buy a property. So let's talk about what the attorney's role is in the purchase process. Well, you heard a little bit from the home inspector today, and it is definitely recommended that everybody get that home inspection. It's not a big investment, and if you're coming into a home that you want to live in yourself, or even have tenants in there, you need to make sure that home is structurally sound. You understand all this stuff, because one thing that you have to understand is that when you purchase that home and you are now the owner of record, you are responsible for everything in that home, even if it existed when the prior owner had it, okay? So you take all of the good and all of the bad when you purchase that home. So you want to, the purpose of the home inspection, of course, is yes, to find, to find things that maybe can reduce your price, but it's also just to understand what's going on and the expectations, so you don't have unrealistic expectations when you become the owner, because every house can be, for the most part, can be repaired or can be fixed or can be renovated. Our job is to educate you so you know the time and the effort and the money that might be involved in doing those projects, okay? So the realtor, the home inspection, they're your first, sort of line of people that are going to be speaking with you. And then when you get to the attorney, you'll get to the attorney only when you are satisfied and want to move forward at that beginning stage. You might see 10 houses before you say, that's the one. So you might not be looking for a lawyer when you're first starting, but when you're ready to, when you say, okay, I'm putting an offer in, that's when you should start investigating, okay, who am I going to use as an attorney? Because this process and the way it's been over the last, probably, 5 to 10 years is, if this is a good house and you like it, there might be another 5 people that are coming to that house and like it also. So now you're going to have 5 different offers coming in, and it's going to be up to the seller to decide, okay, which offer am I going to take here? It's your realtor's job to make sure your offer stands out, right? So the seller accepts your offer. And then it'll become the home inspector's job to make sure that you are comfortable with the condition of the house, okay, to move forward, okay? And then it becomes the lawyer's job to put it all together, okay? So what I would be doing then is I would be receiving a copy of the home inspection report, okay? And reviewing it with the homeowner, with the prospective purchaser, and the real estate agent, and sometimes the home inspector themselves, just to understand exactly the extent of certain issues. Like there might be an environmental issue with mold, or an oil, there might be an oil tank situation where environmental issues are very important, because those could become extremely expensive to remediate later on. So you want to make sure that all the big expensive items that have to be repaired, the seller, who's now going to be receiving, hundreds of thousands of dollars, is going to pay part of that, right? Because otherwise it's all on your shoulders later on, and a lot of people will not budget for those types of incredible expenses, especially on an oil leak. Could be you have to bring in a whole different company. Your insurance may not cover it. It may cover it. There's a lot of things that come into play, but you want to go in at least with your eyes open, okay? So what happens in New York is that when you have when you put in your offer and it gets accepted, you have your home inspection, and now the seller will hire their attorney, you will hire your attorney, and the seller's attorney will be sending a contract, okay, in order to memorialize what the offer and acceptance was that you did through your realtor, okay? Now the contract is a legal document when it gets signed, only when it gets signed. So you could be having a lot of verbal back and forth, I agree to this, I agree to that, but until that contract is signed by the buyer and by the seller, there's no deal. So no matter what somebody promises, if you don't have that in writing and signed by the person that's doing the promise, you don't have a deal that you can enforce. So this is why it's important to get through this process, you know, relatively quickly, because the longer it lingers, the more offers could come in, and if somebody offers better terms before you have your contract signed, you may lose the deal. It's just real, you know, this is just how it works. Or you might have to raise your offer to compensate for the new offer. So you got to move quickly, but you have to move thoroughly. So it's a fun, you know, you have to do both. So that's why it's important to have experienced people on your team, okay, that can maneuver all of these pieces of the puzzle quickly in order to get the seller and you on the same page and get that contract signed, okay? I see a hand.
What if you have property, let's say you have property in New York, okay, and I wanted to hire you as my attorney. Then let's say I want to buy a house in Florida. You can't represent me in Florida unless you have certificate, unless you're licensed, right?
That's
so
right.
That means I have to get another lawyer in Florida.
Yes, the short answer is yes. I can represent you in Florida. I cannot, right. But the addition to that answer is, in a lot of the states other than New York and New Jersey, real estate lawyers are not used the same way when you're purchasing property. The real estate agents and title companies play a much bigger role in the process from beginning to closing, okay? That's just how it works. That's like I said, every state has their own sort of ways that they do it. Even New Jersey, which is not a big state in comparison to other states, has two different ways of doing it. There's the North Jersey way, and then this is the South Jersey way. South Jersey doesn't use attorneys as much. And it's funny because I had a client call me up once, and it's like, I'm buying a house, and it was somewhere around South Jersey. And the real estate agent was very confused why she was even hiring me as her lawyer. Well, she wanted somebody to work for her. She didn't want to rely on the process that they do in South Jersey because she felt more comfortable. The more people on her team, the more she was going to be protected. And so I wound up doing it, but it was not a usual thing for a property in that part of New Jersey. But like I said, in most of the places that you'll be buying, if you're buying in New York, any of the boroughs of New York, Westchester, Rockland, Long Island, Nassau, Suffolk, it's regular business as usual to hire an attorney for the seller and for the buyer. Okay, so and it's not two different attorneys from the same law firm, but the seller would hire an attorney and the buyer would hire their attorney. So the buyer's attorney would receive this a proposed contract, getting back to what I was talking before, your question. And how much time do I have, Al? How much time do you need? Yeah? Okay, because Al's our mortgage person here, and he's got a very good PowerPoint presentation and explanation on how to go about getting approved for the mortgage. And it's very important, obviously, for everybody to be able to get that information so you know what you're going to have to do. So I want to give him enough time to present that. And everybody here, I have cards here. You can take my business card, and you can contact me at any time. As a real estate attorney that does a lot of residential real estate work, I also do commercial for commercial buildings, etc. So I don't limit myself just to homes and condos, but I do apartment buildings, mixed-use properties, obviously co-ops, condos, single-family and multifamily houses. I've handled closings for all of those different assets. We could have a discussion. That's why it's hard to talk. You can't talk about everything in a seminar like this because there's too many things to talk about. So I'm just going to focus on the general principles of, why a real estate lawyer is important and what we generally do. So we would get the contract as the buyer's attorney, and hopefully the seller's attorney is using the form contract. The New York State Bar Association has come out with a contract that all deals should be using. And they have different contracts when it comes to co-ops, condos, and regular homes, okay? In the residential field. When it comes to commercial, lawyers do their own contracts in commercial. There's no form for that. But the bar associations have felt it necessary to sort of simplify and uniformly put together a form contract. And that is what the lawyers would use at the beginning of the process. They would send over the form contract to the buyer's attorney, along with a separate rider to that contract that may add to the provisions of the contract or change some of the provisions of the contract. The buyer's attorney, and hopefully a real estate attorney, will get this contract, will recognize the form as being the proper form, and will review the changes that the seller's lawyer made to the contract, and will add to the contract a second rider just to protect the buyer. Because these contracts are coming from the seller, who do you think they're going to protect more, the seller or the person that's buying, right? It's going to the contracts are designed for the most part to be as equal as possible, but they are biased towards the seller of the property. So it's up to your lawyer to make sure that the changes are made, if they haven't been made by the seller's attorney, to protect the buyer's interest in the transaction, okay? And what's the most important thing when we're talking about protecting the buyer's interest? We want to make sure that the seller moves forward and sells the property, right, at the end of the process to the buyer, and make sure that the contract says that they must do that or be penalized somehow, right? And we want to make sure that the contract protects whatever monies the buyer has to put down in the beginning part to hold the deal in place. Because there's always a requirement for what's called a down payment, okay? Now the down payment will vary depending on a few different principles, but it usually runs from 3.5% up to 10%. And that would be the money that the buyer would put down at the signing of the contract, with the balance of the money due at closing, okay? And the balance of the money would normally come from the mortgage, okay? And but sometimes, but there'll be different amounts that may also be due from the buyer also at the closing, depending how much is put down. Like if you get a mortgage that's going to cover 90% of the purchase price, and you have to put down 10%, well, the contract may only require you to put down, let's say, 5% at the beginning, which means 5% will be due at at your closing time. So even if you're only putting down 5%, that could be a lot of money on $1 million house, right? We're talking $50,000. People don't just give $50,000 to strangers and hope that that something good happens of it. It needs to be that $50,000 has to be protected, and that's your lawyer's job, to protect that money until you get that deed saying that you own that property, or until it does happen that the contract does get canceled for various different contingencies that don't happen. And I'm not going to be having the time to talk about that today, but you could, we could talk about that another time if you're interested. And, if the contract doesn't happen, you need to be able to get that money returned to you, right? You don't want to put that money at risk until you own that property, until you own that property. So it's very important that the buyer's lawyer makes sure that the contract itself covers every contingency that could happen that may result in you not buying the property, but allowing you to get your money back, okay? And there's timelines that have to be followed within a contract. You have a certain amount of time to, let's say, from beginning to a closing date. That will all be memorialized in the contract. So these are the kinds of details that your lawyer will go over with you before the contract is satisfactory to be sent back to the seller's attorney with the changes. You want to make sure that your lawyer has every piece of knowledge about that deal to protect you before the contracts are finalized, because once a buyer sends back the contract to the seller's attorney saying, okay, I've read your contract, here are my changes, and the seller's lawyer says, okay, we agree to all of these changes. Now it's the buyer's has to sign the contract. It's the expectation that the buyer will sign the contract first, okay, and provide the down payment, whatever the down payment has been agreed to. And then once the attorney is in receipt of this, then the sellers will then, hopefully at that point, sign the contract and return it to the buyer's attorney. When that is done, you have a fully signed contract by the seller and by the buyer. You have a part of the contract that has been signed by the seller's attorney saying that he or she is now holding the deposit money in an escrow account, and that deposit money will not leave that escrow account until closing or until the contract gets canceled and has to be returned, okay? So those are the three individuals that sign a contract: the buyer, the seller, and the seller's attorney who's holding the escrow. When that is done, then both sides are now obligated to perform what they have now signed to do. The buyer has to perform under the contract, which means going out and getting their mortgage approved or applying for a mortgage, ordering a title search to make, to send to the seller to basically, so all liens can be cleared, and to be able to close by the closing date that's in the contract. Now the seller has undertaken, by signing this contract, to cooperate with the buyer in all of these steps, allow access, for the appraiser to come and appraise the property, and basically to clear any of the liens that are on, that might be on the property. So at the closing, the buyer can purchase the property and all of the liens can be taken care of, okay? And at the closing, basically, the buyer's attorney is going to be there with you, the seller and the seller's attorney will be there, the mortgage attorney will be there who's lending the money, and the title company will be there to check off, make sure that all of these liens are being paid at the closing. And to give you as the buyer what's called an owner's title policy. It works a little different than regular insurance, but basically what it is the title company will give the buyer insurance that the buyer is now the owner of this property, and that all of the seller's liens and prior mortgages and other things that might interfere with the title being clear has now been cleared, okay? And once you have that insurance policy and you have the deed in your name, you are now the clear owner of that property, and it's now yours to enjoy. So any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I will hand out my business cards to everybody here so you have it, and look forward to hoping to help some of you purchase your homes. Take care.
Answer the question, go ahead.
Yeah.
Two families house, rooms, apartments, and luxury apartments. We also provide financial products and services, retirement plans, mutual funds, annuities, Roth, disability, and life insurance. PHILLIP BENN. Email wealthcreationstrategist@gmail.com. Instagram ben.phillip.
I have a guarantee rate. Guarantee rate is a mortgage banker. Okay, before I start, just want to bring it all together. Charles and I always have the conversations online of who's more important, the attorney or the mortgage guy. He always say that I'm more important because I'm giving the money. Everybody needs the money. And I always tell him he's the most important because he's there to protect your money, right? And protect you in the process. He's supposed to be the general of the process. So we go back and forth with that. But in reality, everybody is important in the process in their own respect, right? You see what the inspector presented and all the things that can go wrong in the inspection, right? So it's important that you get a good inspector, correct? Right? So, and then you have to have the good attorney, to make real estate agent, to make sure they're showing you what you want and representing you in your transaction. So everybody's important in the process. But my job is the mortgage. I'm the mortgage guy. My job is to get you the money, okay? And so time is limited, so I'm gonna give you a very express version of the mortgage process, okay? My company is Guaranteed Rate. Guaranteed Rate is the mortgage banker. Okay, guys, okay? We are not a bank and we're not a broker, we are a banker. What the difference is from a bank is a bank does everything. Checking, savings, loans, insurance, car loans, boat loans, school loans, securities, investments, everything. A mortgage banker does mortgages, okay? That means we eat, sleep, die, breathe, or survive, or fail doing what? Mortgages. If we do not do it right, we do not exist. This is all we do. Guarantee Rate, look at Forbes. We came in last month. It's the #1 first-time home buyer mortgage company in the country. Just Google it, Forbes magazine for the month of May. We are top on the list. I'm sorry? May. Forbes magazine listed us as the #1 first-time home buyer mortgage company in the country. All right? You can Google it, okay? We are licensed in all 50 states. We do every type of loans, whether it's for purchase a house, whether it's to refinance a house. We have about 3 homeowners in here that I noticed when Phil asked the questions about who owns a house, right? We do loans to refinance a house. We do equity loans. We do second mortgages. We do anything that have to do with a house, we lend the money. So if you want to sell your house, take the money and buy another house, you'll take that money, we'll give you a loan to do that. If you want to get an ELOC to go and buy another house, we'll help you do that. If you want to get a reverse mortgage to take money out and use it, we'll help you to do that. As long as it's tied to real estate, we do it. I don't have my clicker, so I'm gonna have to do it. Okay, I'm going straight to the presentation, right? Because like I said, time is limited, right? What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna talk about the process of buying a house real fast, okay? Now, for individuals that haven't purchased a house yet, right? Now the process is going to be similar regardless of what state you're in, but this is mainly geared towards New York, okay? We start, first thing you do is, it doesn't have to be a counseling agency, but it's good to go to a counseling agency and get some counseling advice about buying a house and the ins and outs of buying a house. I know a few, right? The next step is to get pre-approved. Now, what pre-approved means is, we want to buy a house, we need to know what? What you can afford. You need to know how much you can afford, and you need to know what's required, right? To get approved or get pre-approved. So it's the first step in the process, getting the information and then getting pre-approved. Normally, the loan officer is involved in here, which is me, play both roles. As a counselor and a loan officer, because most people come into the process not knowing what to do. That's just reality. When you get pre-approved, you have to look at your financial DNA. Like Pete, the financial planner, mentioned, that every individual is different. He cannot sit here and tell you what's the best investment for you to make versus the best investment for her to make, because your financial DNA, your financial difference is different than hers, different than his, different than hers, different than hers, and different than him. Sorry, buddy. Right? Everybody's DNA is different. Right? I could have 1,000 people in this room, and the type of loan, the type of program is going to be different for everyone. You think it's the number one question people ask me every day? I got it 3 times today. What's the rate? It's an impossible question, but everybody asks that question because not only is the rate changing every day, the type of loan program you get is going to be different. Your financial DNA is going to be different. Your credit is going to be different. Your down payment is going to be different. It's impossible for me to do that. If I had a crystal ball, maybe I could do that, but I don't. And we got a government, I'm not trying to get political, right? That is in turmoil right now, and the economy is in turmoil. So rates are what? Just like the stock market is going up and down, what do you think interest rates is doing? Up and down. So what I give you today is different when? Tonight. And then the next morning is different again. My job is to get your pre-approval, tell you what you can do. Then the next step, when I take that pre-approval and I hand it to you, and you take it to the real estate agent, Phil, the real estate agent, will take you out and do what? Look for a house. What's your name, man?
Cheryl.
Cheryl. I give Phil your pre-approval for $750,000, right? You like that number, right? Right? She's smiling. Yeah, give it to me, right? Phil then take you around and start looking at houses and see what's available for your pre-approval based on the area you want to look at, or buy a house, right? And then you see something you like, you take the pre-approval, you make an offer. The seller agreed to terms of your offer. That means you got meeting of the minds, right? You made an offer, seller agreed to sell it to you for that price. At that point, we have here an inspection. Now, an inspection is not required by law. Many years ago, it used to be, but it's not required. Termine's not required anymore. It's not required by the loan program. It's not required by the attorneys, not required by the sellers. But you've seen what the inspection person presented to you earlier. You heard what Charles says, that it's a good investment to invest into what? An inspection. There's so many things that can go wrong. Oh, I don't need an inspection. My Uncle Joe knows all about houses. But Uncle Joe is not an engineer. He's laughing because he knows that's the case. Oh, my husband does this, my husband does that, but he doesn't see behind walls. But that's your decision. There's people selling houses and people making offers right now. I present my offer and I waive my inspection because they want the house what? So bad. No comment, I gotta move on.
Is that new though? Because when I was trying to buy a house a couple of years ago, I had to do an inspection to plan for parking. Is that a new thing?
A couple of years ago? Not a couple of years ago, buddy. I've been doing this 35 years, and believe me, I haven't had to do an inspection in the last 20 years. It's not required. Right, Charles? Charles said I'm not that old. Okay. It's optional. It's not required. The only time you have to do an inspection, if the appraisal comes back and there's something subject to it, and the bank says, oh, look, this appraiser said he sees something somewhere, and then they may condition that you do something to clarify what that is. They may want a contractor or an inspector to go and look at it to explain what that water damage is right there in the corner. Is it a roof leak? But it's not required. Lawyer, once you did that inspection, you ready to move on? You go to the most important person in the process, right? That's the attorney. The attorney's the general. You got to protect your money. That's the person you should trust. That's the person you should be picking. Then an insurance agent, and then you come back to me and we start the loan. That's the process.
Question.
Sure.
So, let's say I wanted to buy a residential property for income.
Okay.
I wanted to have a family in there, right?
Right.
Can I use, if I was qualified for SBA loan, can I use the SBA loan for that?
Let me answer that in a minute. Okay. What you're saying is you qualified to get money for another reason, but you want to use it for another reason. He's trying to he's trying to get me. I mean, we're talking person, okay? There's a camera around here, okay? Right? Let's talk about what's required to get a loan. Do you understand?
SBA loans for businesses?
Small Business Administration? Yeah. Okay. This is not a small business administration workshop. This is a home financial service workshop, correct? And I'm talking about what? Money to buy a home, money to refinance a home. Correct? Right? Right? Okay. See this table, guys? This is it right here. Financing is simple. You need money to buy a house? You just have to find out what the person is going to lend you the money for once. Simple as that. You understand what they want, whether it's a car loan, boat loan, student loan, credit card. You find out what they want. You put yourself in the position to meet it, and you 99.9% is going to what? Get the loan. See, most of us close our eyes and just throw it up and say, okay, I want a loan. And they write these nice little letters and say, well, Mr. Bank, I really want a house real bad. No, we go by what? Guidelines. It's not personal. Strictly guidelines. If it was up to me, I'd give everybody in this room a loan. Maybe 2 or 3. But I have to follow what? Guidelines. And if I look at this table right here, every leg on this table has a purpose. If you sit this table up right here, right? One leg on this table breaks, that table does not stand. Right? I need all 4 legs. So, there's something called the 4 C's. But I'm going to focus on the 3. The 4 C's says, this leg on this table, credit leg, has to be intact. Has to meet the what? Guidelines. Cash. This leg on this table has to be intact. It has to what? Meet the guidelines. Third leg, capacity. This leg has to what? Meet the guidelines. Now everybody is saying, what the hell is capacity? Right? Capacity is nothing more than income. The higher your income, the higher your capacity. The lower your income, the lower your capacity. The higher income, you can buy more. The lower income, you can buy less, correct? Somebody making $200,000 can do more than somebody making 50. Somebody making 10 can't do nothing. Right? In this market. Right? And then the fourth leg is collateral. That means the type of property you want to buy. 1 family, 2 family, 3 family, 4, co-op condo or more. Those are the ones. Residential properties. We're not talking commercial. Collateral. You can't come to me and say, I want to buy a 6-unit building. These loans are not designed for that. So your collateral is what? That leg is broken. You understand?
What loans are you actually talking about?
I'm talking about 2 types of loans. A loan to help you buy a house. All right, I'm going to East Pacific one, and a loan to refinance a house. Any kind of loan you need, they all look at what? The C's. Any kind of loan. It doesn't matter. This is your financial DNA. My job is to look at your what? See, just like Pete's job to look at your finances as a whole, to get your finance in order, my job is to look at the 3 C's to get that in order so you can do what? Buy a house. Understood? Credit. Let's look at it, the 3 C's. Right? Let's break it down. I talked about the 3 C's, the 4 C's, but I'm going to break it down into the 3 C's. Because let's take the property out of it. Now because let's stop and think. Right? Let's go back and take a peek. You see the 4 tables? This has to do with the property. That's why this leg is red. These 3 has to do with your finances. Just like Pete talked about your debt and your income and your finances. This has to do with you as an individual or you as a couple. Okay? And so right now, I have to look at these 3 to help you decide what you're going to do with this one. See, these 3 can say, you can't buy a co-op, but you can buy a 2-family house. So your financial DNA, your financial has to do with the credit, cash, and capacity. 3 C's, that's it. 1, 2, 3, guys. Don't make it more simple. Every lender talks about the 3 C's, it's just that they do it in a different way. They call it something different. Some like to make it seem like it's calculus, but it's not. It's simple. Understand the 3 C's, and you can leave here in the next 10 minutes and know whether or not you can buy a house. It's that simple.
So we buy a 2-family house, and, okay, suppose you don't quite qualify for the 1 family, but if you see a 2-family house that you want, and you can prove that you can rent, like you have
I got you.
then you would qualify because they would use.
I got you. Let's go this order. This is my alarm. Okay. Credit. This is the guidelines. We do a tri-merge report. We look at 3 credit bureaus: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Everybody hear of them, right? We all know about those guys. It's like we know them more than I know our kids' names. I mean, you got 3 kids, you can't remember their names, but you can remember TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian because it's built into the system, right? We run a tri-merge report. We look at a consumer report, not a consumer report that you do every night when you go on the computer and look at Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, and be happy because you see your scores are 700. They're not the real scores. We do a consumer's credit report, right? And we take the middle score of the 3. Now, what's a good FICO score? Give me a number. 720. I got 720. What else?
800.
Hey, go. He went to the top. He said, let's don't waste no time. Question, what's a good FICO score to get a mortgage? That's the question. 650? 620. You're all wrong. You should say you don't know because you don't know. Because every loan program have a different requirement. You don't know the requirement. Well, take a guess. What's the lowest score you think you can have?
580.
Huh? Who said 580? Right? Now he stood up and walked with a little swag because he thinks he's right. Now, let me explain, but you still walk with a swag, right? Let me explain. 580 is a specific number. You don't say 580 unless you have some information, because 580 is an important number. You understand? See, at 580, do you see this leg? It's wobbling. That doesn't mean you can't get a loan. But this is what happens now. This leg, and that leg have to be stronger to make it work, right? Under 580. 550 is when this leg is broken. Fix the leg. 580? Yeah, I can make it work. 600. Yeah. But that's for one type of loan. You go to a different type of loan, they start at 620. See, that's where I come in. You may be 580, you may be 620. You have to go for a certain type of loan. You have to go for a different type of loan. There is not, like Pete says, this is not a cookie cutter. Everything is different for everyone. Credit, the most important thing I can tell you about credit, it's the most important thing. Monitor it, control it, understand it. And credit, it's easy because you can fix it. I'm an expert credit repair person, and though I'm not a credit repair person, because I need to fix that leg because she has a 580 and I want to get it to what? 600. So I don't worry about the credit so much. If all you had 500, I say, come on, guys, let's fix the credit. Cash. We need money. How much money we need? Phil messed me up earlier when he said how much money you need. I was like, I don't know. Every loan program have a different requirement for the down payment and the closing costs. If you're a veteran, there's no requirements for what? Down payment, 100% financing. Or any veterans in here? So guess what? It doesn't apply to you. See, I get questions all the time is what's the best loan program? The best loan program is the loan that you what? Qualify for. Do you understand? Just because it's called a VA loan, even called a first-time homebuyer loan, doesn't mean it's the best program. If I change my name to LeBron James or Michael Jordan, I can't go into court and do what they do just because my name is Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Just because the name doesn't make it better. They change the names of loans and say, oh, the first responder loan or the teacher next door loan. People say, I'm a first responder. That loan program doesn't mean it's the best one for you. You have to understand the what? You guys should be able to say that already. The 3 C's. You have to look at the 3 C's of the program and say, this is the best program for me. Regardless of what's its name. You understand? Down payment is your investment into it. It could be 0, 3, 3.5, or 5. Depending on what? What you have. I don't go crazy with money because money can come from different places. It can come from your savings, it can come from your checkings, it can come from your mutual funds, it can come from your security, your insurance, it can come from a susu, 2 susus, 3 susus. I don't care. We'll figure out where the money comes. We can get the seller to pay some of the money. So get it right now. I am not concerned about what? Credit. And I'm not too concerned about what? Cash. But this baby, the capacity is the big one. Because I can fix your credit. I can tell you how to manipulate and get money and this, get a little loan here and get a little this here and jump in this susu and get a gift from this person or do a fund me here. We can talk about that. But I don't have control of your income or your job. You get it? And like Phil said, most people don't make 120. You don't need to make 120. You can make 80. Just that now with 80,000, this is what you can buy. 75,000, this is what you can buy. Or you can get 2 people that makes what, 75,000 each. Or you can buy a 2-family, use the rental income to help assist you. Or 3-family, use the 2 rental incomes to assist you. Okay, all those are incomes, pension, Social Security, child support, alimony, foster care income. Anything you can document, we can what? Use. And these loan programs, though, allows you to use income for where they have non-occupying co-bars. And you can have somebody that's going to co-sign for you, with you, right? They don't have to go on the deed. They just go on what? The loan. Or they could be living in Alaska, right? And co-sign with you and not live in the house. Do you understand? There's no, you can have grandma, grandpa, they can be 110 years old working, having Social Security and pension. You can bring them in. So that's the tough one. And that's where Ramona comes in, because if you're self-employed, those are the toughest. You have to know how to do your taxes in a way that you don't hurt yourself to allow you to buy. Because most taxes are done with the intent that you're not paying any what? Taxes, but then it comes back and hurts you when you want to do what? Buy a house. You can get both, but you have to know what? How to do it. Understood? So I'm just giving you guys a crust and we'll bring this to the end because, like I said, we have a deadline, short time, but I wanted you guys to understand the 3 C's because that's what financing is about, understanding your 3 C's. And what happens is if you want to start the process, right, you have all my information as every other presenter here on the table. You can get all their information, right? And you send me an email, I'll send you an email. You send me a text if you want to get started. I'll send you an email with a link that will fill out an application. It will run a soft pull credit report. A soft pull credit report meaning it's not going to hit your credit and put an inquiry on your credit report, but it allows me to analyze your credit and analyze the 3 C's to tell you what you can do. Do you understand? I can't do it any other way. I have to have the information. Do you understand? Okay? So, like I said, we are limited time, but I would have liked to present more, but we just have to go with what we have. And just real fast, I have a couple here. This is their FICO scores, right? 627, 626, and 620, right? This is the middle score of the 2, right? And then this is the middle score of the other person. The law says we have to use the lower of the 2, which is what? 607. So I'm working with a 607. Where we start doesn't mean that where we have to end, because while we're working and looking for a house, we could be what? Building that score. Credit repair. You have to know the right person doing. Not everybody know how to do credit repair. They do credit repair, but they don't do it the way it's required to get a mortgage. It's a big difference. Big difference. You see it every day. Oh, my person's fixing my credit. Yeah, they did it, but they didn't do it to meet the requirements for a mortgage. Okay? So, time is up. Guys, I wish I had more time to give you more information, but I gave you the crust of it. My information was on the board earlier. My card's in the back. You can call me anytime. And basically what I would do is work with each of you personally to understand how your 3 C's look, right? And it doesn't matter what state it is, my company covers the whole country, okay? We've been around 25 years. We are top rated in volume as the number 5, top 5 year after year, or top 10, okay? You can look us up, just Google it, okay? Guys, I appreciate it, right? We'll talk later. Hate to hear from
you. And I'm sorry that we have nothing to sell you, like many other seminars you go to, they always say, all right, run over to the table and get something. We got nothing, right? But what you do have, direct access to each and every speaker that was here. In their email, you can call and schedule for a one-on-one because everybody's situation is unique. That's why you need that one-on-one, and they'll be able to guide you how to make it work. If your tax situation is unique, Ramona. Finance is unique. Legal, all different types of legal issues. Charles has a huge team from trusts, wills, whatever, probate, your homeowner. Everybody should have a will. You know, these are things that you're supposed to have in place. You know, there's a whole lot of stuff. Everyone is going to have a one-on-one counseling session with my team when it comes to the financial needs analysis and strategies and stuff like that. Everything that you need, we're here to make certain that everyone is success. But most important of all, we hope that we're able to dispel some of the information that is circulating out there, that you can say, no, what you're saying doesn't make any sense, because I went to a mastermind with some of the best minds, and what you're saying is wrong. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on out there, that's misinformation that's going on out there, that cause a lot of people to not have become homeowners. And a lot of people could have been sitting in $500,000 worth of equity had they had this kind of information, or people not speaking fear into their lives. So regardless of what you see the prices are, still buy real estate. Because there was a time when I laughed, and when they said the average house in Brooklyn was going to be $1 million, now it's now 1.5. And could you sit down here and live in doubt? There's going to be one day where the average house is going to be worth $3 million. So you all figure out what you're going to do if you're going to help somebody else pay their mortgage or start paying your own mortgage somehow.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy a house, buy a condo. And you don't have to buy Brooklyn. You can buy another state for a couple of years. That's going to gain you some equity. Then you can sell that and then come back and buy Brooklyn, because now you have a bigger down payment.
Phil, can I add to that?
Go ahead.
'Cause we talked about the 4 C's and the 3 C's, right? In the presentation, we also always talk about the big C, right? And back in time, I didn't get into the big C. The big C is probably the most important thing, right? And the big C is control. See, everybody think you're here to buy a house, right? They buy a house with a right picket fence and a dog in the back and a barbecue grill. No, we're here to buy a house because you want control of your housing situation. You're not here for anything else, because look at Bed-Stuy. You see what the prices are in this area? It's called what? You don't have what? Control. When you own something, you have what? Control. And that's the most important thing about owning, is to getting control of your housing situation. I don't want to pull out my guy here. We was talking before the event. He came over. We started talking about. He said he bought a house 20 years ago. Now he's going to buy another house somewhere else, and he's going to leave this one for two. I'm sorry, I didn't want to blow you up, right? 2, and he's going to go and buy a double house upstate, 2 houses upstate. So we're going to talk after this, right? But anyway, but he's leaving it to his family. Yeah. The president. What is that? That's not just control. That's generational control. Do you understand? That's powerful. That's you saying, I'm taking care of myself, and I'm taking care of who? The kids and the grandkids and the grandkids. Because if they don't get control, and you know what prices are going to look at their time, just stop, right? But if you can do it now, you can help prepare them to have control, right, in their lifetime. So the biggest thing we're here for is what? Control. See, you have a rent control apartment, there's nothing Phil can tell you to get you to leave that rent control apartment. You know why? You already have what? Control. I couldn't persuade you to leave a $200 a month rental apartment because you already have what? Control. I don't want no house. I got this apartment. I got what? Control. Get your control, guys. Okay?
Give it up for all the speakers. And to the nest, the Bed-Stuy nest, we thank you for allowing us to use this space. Yeah, there was another event directly after, so you all can grab something on the way out.
@gmail.com. Instagram, BENN.PHILLIP. Wealth creation strategist. Our mission is to educate families how to create generational wealth by investing in residential and commercial real estate properties for rental of stores, apartments, Airbnb, and rooms. Single family house, two families house, rooms, apartments, and luxury apartments. We also provide financial products and services, retirement plans, mutual funds, annuities, Roth, disability, and life insurance. PHILLIP.
Or you can email us at wenoisetv@gmail.com. WeNoiseTV, the leading streaming provider. Anytime, anywhere, any screen. Access to your favorite HD contents with prices as low as ever. Choose from monthly, quarterly, or yearly payments. This worldwide service is flexible for you to keep up with all your favorite programs, shows, movies, and local programming from home no matter where you travel to. Worldwide TV channels right at your fingertips wherever you are. Latest in live sports, binge watch all your favorite TV shows, movies on demand, videos on demand you can pause, rewind, fast forward anytime. Never miss 1 minute in entertainment important to you. No contracts, no added prices for sports or premium packages. We certainly don't have to pull tricks like cable and satellite companies. Our product speaks for itself and beyond. WeNoiseTV. We have everything like Netflix, Disney, Amazon. Watch your favorite movies, TV shows, and series with our services.
Busy Bee Cleaning Services, a residential and commercial cleaning service. They do standard deep clean and post-construction cleaning. Move in and out cleaning along with decluttering and organizing. For seniors, a special discount is available for you. Call them at 347-993-8899 or email them at busybeecleanservice@gmail.com. That's Busy Bee Cleaning Services. Quick,